This is when KRAKEN captured the local power plant and turned the power off. Russians found themselves without connection and electricity, allowing the volunteers to successfully attack the panicking enemy.
Right, y'all, welcome back to Combat Arms channel. All right, so today we are learning all about the KRAKEN unit in the Ukrainian military. Now, I know a little bit about them. I know most of the people kind of came to the unit from the Azov regiment, or they previously served in the Azov regiment. We've seen a bunch of videos of them kind of doing general special operations types of missions. However, I don't really know what their hierarchy actually looks like as far as who they technically fall under, because I mean, it was my impression that they were just like military volunteers, but I'm not exactly sure how that works with the whole Ukrainian structure as it stands right now, or if they fall under like a certain department in the Ukrainian military. But I'm also not really too sure exactly what their jurisdiction or purview is supposed to be. Again, it seems like more of like a general special operations type of mission, but hopefully this video sheds a little bit of light as to kind of what their hierarchy looks like, how they were formed, and also kind of what they're focused on doing right now. So should be good. It's a pretty short one, but hopefully it gives us some pretty good background. So let's check it out. The Black Hornet. Interesting way to start this.
Release the KRAKEN! This race found its second life thanks to the mysterious unit, which emerged from nowhere and became one of the fiercest at the front lines. Volunteers who started with regular cars a year ago now operate tanks as a separate reconnaissance unit. So what's the story behind KRAKEN? True chaos reigned in the first day of the full-scale invasion as Kharkiv suffered massive bombardment. Large enemy columns approached the Ukrainian metropolis near the Russian border from the north. Under those circumstances, a group of gloomy men has gathered in Kharkiv. There were mainly local football fans and their acquaintances. Together, they stood up to defend the city. Among them were recon officers, veterans of the acclaimed Azov, and other experienced fighters. The main
yeah, and I gotta say those veterans definitely helped, because I mean, it's been a little over a year, but like they're pretty fleshed out. Again, like they were saying, like they've advanced a lot since then, but they're pretty much badass from their inception. Now, having those veterans is nice because, again, you have like some general military experience. It kind of helps with the general kind of order and discipline. They understand what needs to be created, you know, at its inception for it to be successful and for it to have that longevity. And again, having some sort of backbone as to, you know, what they should be training on, but also how to train and how to have a standard is another important thing.
The main Directorate of Intelligence agreed to provide some light arms, a few machine guns, and mortars. That's how KRAKEN was born.
Is there like a U.S. equivalent, Director of Intelligence? I mean, we have a DIA, but it's not really. They wouldn't really give weapons, I don't think, to like a volunteer force. Maybe kind of like not even like a National Guard. I don't know. I hear Director of Intelligence, so I started thinking of our intelligence agencies. So I'm not really sure what the best comparison to that would be in the U.S.
That's how KRAKEN was born. The volunteers went to back up the armed forces right away.
In the second half of the day on February 24th, we took up positions at North Saltivka, the most dangerous direction at that time. They were already breaching through it.
Jeez.
The 92nd Brigade was holding it, but the defense was already breached. That's where we sent the reinforcements to.
A few days later, they were already dislodging Russian special forces from a school they captured near the city center.
Oh, I think I saw.
In a week, 2 Russian caliber missiles hit the city's defense headquarters, where KRAKEN was also dislocated.
Yeah, I thought I saw some footage of that. Man, this is bringing back. I keep forgetting, like, the war has been going on for a little over a year now, but it feels like it's been longer at this point for whatever reason. Because, again, I'm starting to remember some of the early combat footage that we saw out of this conflict. And, yeah, of course, KRAKEN was a big part of that. You know, they were in pretty much all of the major engagements, and they were doing a lot. Seeing, like, all those forces, especially seeing them with, like, international forces. Like, yeah, they've been staying busy.
According to the official report, 29 people died. Yet the volunteers remained unwavering. By March, they reclaimed Vilhivka village. Further, in April, they liberated the important town of Ruska Lozova. As it was later revealed, the head of the main Directorate of Intelligence, Kirill Budanov, took part in that operation as well.
Damn,
The army
okay.
officials were so impressed by the mission that a spontaneous formation became a part of the main Directorate of
Damn.
Intelligence and
Now they have
received a
some
new status, a
nice
separate
gear.
reconnaissance and sabotage unit, KRAKEN. In 2022,
Recon and
KRAKEN
sabotage. Again, like trying to compare it, that's probably more closely related to just like general special forces, but probably like our Rangers, like pretty aggressive. They can do raids. They can do kind of like sabotage missions like that. Again, pretty like high risk and high autonomy kind of missions. And again, for them, it is nice, you know, give them some supplies, give them some like general mission. But again, they kind of already showed how they can organize themselves. They can be in a certain area, not be detrimental to the other military forces. In fact, do the opposite, like definitely help them out. Some very valuable reinforcements, but moving more towards a reconnaissance or sabotage role allows them, I think, a little bit even more autonomy. Probably something that they preferred to have as opposed to just being like a general sort of reinforcement or infantry element.
helped liberate more than 20 Ukrainian towns and villages. This number includes such big towns as Kupiansk and Balaklia. One of the main features of KRAKEN is a thorough preparation of every operation.
Whoa,
For
what was
example,
that was
before
a
the assault on
solid terrain
Balaklia,
model.
Ukrainians learned that Russians lacked power generators. This is when KRAKEN captured the local power plant and turned the power off. Russians found
Nice.
themselves without connection and electricity, allowing
Okay,
the
good
volunteers to
thinking.
successfully attack the panicking enemy. One of the last carefully planned operations at the moment was the destruction of 2 Russian surveillance towers that automatically detect any movement on a 15 kilometers distance. Thanks
Damn.
to reconnaissance and analytics, KRAKEN fighters knew exactly where and how to shoot. As a result,
Nice.
both towers were destroyed.
Dude, that's like, we're talking about like strategic level importance right here. Like, if they have those sorts of means to be able to pick up on movement, I'm not sure if it is that sensitive or that effective, to be honest. But again, like having those systems in place really does sort of freeze up the movement in that area. You need to be able to take out those, or else, you know, whatever you're going to be doing, you have the potential of being tracked, which is not going to be ideal for you if you're trying to, you know, have some sort of element of surprise. So for them to understand the strategic importance on the Russian side of having these systems in place and going after those is a very good move there. And again, putting them under the Director of Military Intelligence kind of probably helps a little bit with that, with facilitating some of that intel coming their way. But again, like, it sounds like they were doing their own recon anyway to be able to find it and also be able to actually affect it and take it out. Pretty impressive.
Russians have big troubles with it. They are told to capture a village, so they look. Okay, the paper says we need to send 3 tanks and 4 armored carriers through the field. 3 tanks and 4 armored carriers drive through the field. And then, good evening, here we are, meeting them.
Snap.
For effective operation planning, KRAKEN actively uses UAVs. That includes the Black Hornet,
Hell
tiny
yeah, dude.
helicopters that weigh around 20 grams.
How did they get the Black? I don't know if Ukraine was like, there was a contract already for their military to get the Black Hornets, but the Black Hornet, it's so cool, actually. I have one, like a little RC one, like right here. It's a little bit bigger, actually. The real one is smaller than that even.
Give it your twist. And calibrate. 180. Release.
Which kind of goes to show how small these things actually are. Again, it is like a nano drone. It is very, very impressive. I think these run about like $40,000 each or something. But like, again, they're very, very quiet. Runtime is about like 15 minutes from what I remember. But again, I think we had 2 or 3. So you can send one out, do a recon, bring it back, throw it on the charger, which was like a little kind of pad you had here. And then you could send up the other one. And by the time that one comes back, the other one is pretty much charged. And, you know, they can get like a 10-digit grid. They had thermal capabilities on them. Very, very quiet. Like, it could be like 10 meters away from you and you'd have no idea. It's like an insane asset. And for something like Ukraine, you might want like a bigger drone that can go a little bit further, a little bit higher, can carry bombs. But for this, like, especially in an urban area, it is just amazing.
The Black Hornet, tiny helicopters that weigh around 20 grams. They're silent enough to approach a human at a 1 meter distance and remain undetected.
Yeah,
Moscow
honestly,
has
probably.
reported eliminating KRAKEN a dozen times. Destroyed? Well, maybe in the dreams of Russian propagandists. KRAKEN keeps fighting in the hottest spots. During
No
every
kidding.
recruitment wave, Kraken gets nearly 150 applications. However, after extremely difficult tests and trials, only a few dozen candidates join the unit.
The fighters of
Okay.
Kraken are highly intellectual people. 75% have a higher education degree. To
Okay.
comply
Damn.
with all the main Directorate of Intelligence requirements,
Okay, so it seems like they are getting their taskings from them, which again, if it is coming from them, then it is probably going to be more of like strategic roles or strategic taskings. Makes a lot of sense again. And of course, when you have like any recon element, especially a sabotage element, you really need some very squared away, very smart, very autonomous people to be able to carry out these missions. You know, because the Directorate of Military Intelligence is going to give them a mission. They'll be like, okay, cool, we'll do a lot of the planning. Like, as long as they understand the end states, they can go out there and they sort of have the brains and, you know, enough equipment to be able to facilitate that for them. So, yeah, it makes sense that they're going to be a little bit more selective.
one has to overcome 7 circles of hell.
The trials include running many kilometers with a 15-kilogram backpack, staying in the cold or under the rain for a long time without food. Strict
What are they
selection and
I don't know, that was like a really cool clip. I kind of want to see that again. Nice freaking interesting balaclava too. But nice spray paint job. And then he's got the grip there. That looks like something that, I mean, it's blue, so it looks like it was not intended for that, but maybe they repurposed something else, which I guess, you know, if you're trying to stand up, that'd be a good place to grab it from and shoot. I'm supposed to grab in the bipod. Interesting.
for a long time without food.
I don't know what he was trying to
Strict
hit though.
selection and high motivation to liberate their land made Kraken one of the most successful units of this war.
I am grateful to Kraken fighters for decisive actions in the destruction
damn.
of the enemy.
Former
Okay.
football fans and volunteers keep fighting. Release the Kraken. The time for vengeance has come.
That's a pretty badass name though. I don't really know the mythology, I guess, behind the Kraken, but pretty badass name. I know it's a pretty fierce like sea animal, but yeah, it's kind of cool to have a namesake like that if you're going to be a recon or sabotage element. Yeah, so that was definitely a solid video and giving us more understanding of kind of who they fall under and also what their missions generally focus on. So being under the Directorate of Intelligence, being underneath them, again, you can kind of understand what their missions are going to be looking like, and also like having that relationship as opposed to being like a volunteer force of civilians, or like, I guess like here in the US you have like militias and stuff, as opposed to being like that, kind of again getting missions and taskings from the military, but also getting that military support as far as, you know, having that ability to get that intelligence, get additional supplies, whether it be anti-tank weapons or armored vehicles. Having that sort of relationship really allows them to get the job done a little bit better, a little bit more effectively, a lot safer, of course, because again, you can kind of have these guerrilla style tactics, but once you have Director of Intelligence funding and equipment, it allows you to be more of like a professional unit. And having that equipment does, again, help with their effectiveness, but again, it really kind of makes them and cements their position of being like a proper force. And again, we've been seeing like they had like their tryouts or their assessment selection. They need very intelligent people so they can have that ability to be selective. So again, it just gives them a little bit more credibility. We can kind of see they kind of formed their own credibility just getting all that stuff done. But now with this sort of relationship, it allows them to really kind of intermix, I guess, with the military a little bit better. So it's good to see. Again, we've been seeing them get a lot of really impressive stuff done. Even really early on in the war, they were very busy. But even still, we're seeing some stuff here and there. And it's impressive. Of course, you're not going to see some stuff because it's more like sabotage or reconnaissance. And a lot of stuff is more direct action that we're seeing. But, I mean, rest assured, they're definitely getting some pretty solid work done. But, yeah, let me know what you guys think. And, of course, if you have any other information to add to this video, any other background that might be helpful for us to kind of understand what they do or what roles they've been playing in certain engagements that we've been seeing, let me know down in the comments section. But if you guys have any videos of their recent engagements, I'd like to check it out. Because, again, it's always just cool checking out like a professional unit, and like that selectiveness and that standard that they developed kind of goes to show with like, again, how professional, how effective, and kind of just how like high speed these guys actually look when they're doing stuff. But let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully we can get more videos like this that give us a little bit more background for these units, because we're gonna be continuing to see more and more of them getting involved in specific operations, especially in, real-time operations. So it'd be kind of cool to have some sort of background to better understand where they came from and how they got to the level that they're at. But that's it for this video. I'll see you all in the next one.